This is the first time that Seb and I has met virtually. I got to know him since MacCon, which I was part of with Sana from To Scale, and I think ever since I've been following his profile and looking at what he's up to, and I'm so glad to have him today as a guest for my own podcast. It's I think he's going to be my first guest ever. It's still a trying out phase, so hopefully, like I get to hear more from him regarding a few things. So firstly, I would like to get to know him in terms of his background and what he wants to do with the account, the ARCHItorture account on Instagram, and also his own personal experiences with like working in the industry, as well as the work culture, social media as an architect, and many other things that he is free to share during this conversation. So just want this conversation to be very very casual and things that we can both understand as an architect from different countries, and to see the similarities and differences. Yep. So Seth, welcome. How are you?
Thank you, Gabriel, for having me. It's actually an honor to be here and in the first episode of your podcast.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm super happy to be here.
Yes, for those who do not know you and your account, just want to give you opportunity to introduce yourself and to share more about your background, what you're doing with the ARCHItorture account, why do you start it? Yeah, take it away.
Yeah, so well, I started the ARCHItorture just last February, basically. No, in 2020. So basically, just when COVID started out, I was at home and I had a lot of time, and I didn't know what was going on in my work and also in China. I'm based in China. I am originally from Chile, but I'm based in China. So I had a lot of free time, and I always wanted to do this, and I always want to have a platform where I can, where people we could share somehow like some sort of experiences about architecture that are beyond buildings, right? And so this is how I started ARCHItorture. I always had the name in mind from because I watched a documentary when I was in university, and it was called literally ARCHItorture, and I always felt that the architecture was really difficult in terms of not only the kind of in terms of like as a
profession, right?
as a profession, but also like physically and mentally. It was very tough. I had a lot of times whenever some teachers will just destroy my models, or they will force us to compete against each other. I remember one time we will be in class, and everyone in class will have one different grade. So for example, it doesn't matter how good your job your work was, you were always gonna get the evaluation was always from 0 to like 100. So basically you were gonna fit somewhere in the middle. So that was really, I felt like exhausting, mentally, and also kind of, it makes you compete with your with the people that is around you and with your friends, and it's just not the healthiest. I think somehow that's changing now, but it's definitely not enough. And then I got to experience this in like a more professional life, and when I see people and I experience myself that we work a lot. I mean, at least so in some countries it's different, but at least in the country that I am in, the working hours are a little bit tough sometimes. And it seems that you need to be proud of working hard and just not, quitting a little bit of your personal life. I've definitely been times when I've quit my personal life to kind of devote myself to architecture. And this is why I decided to make a blog about architecture. To even talk more about it. So basically that's how I started. And then what happened actually is that I got to China because someone helped me with my portfolio. And this person was already in China. He worked in OMA, and he also worked in Fuxas, and he just checked my portfolio, and he gave me really, really tough criticism. And actually, I really appreciated that, and that, I think, kind of helped my career to kind of how to say, jump a little bit. Because everyone was really some sort of conservative, giving me advice, or they would just tell me that it's okay or not okay. I was really confused, and I was doing wrong. So that's also something, part of the ethos, I guess, of ARCHLOGBOOK is just to be brutally honest, but also taking care of each other as as architects. So I'm not here to destroy anyone for the sake of it, or for make fun of anyone. It's just more about, like, sometimes people need to hear other opinions, and if my opinion is what they need to hear, then that's great. And then if my opinion is basically too much, or is what it doesn't align with what they think, that's also fine. But it's just one opinion that I think for some people maybe sometimes need to hear, because I work now. I work as an associate in an office in Beijing, and I get to see a lot of young architects sending their portfolios and sending their CVs and sending, and sometimes begging to work, and literally begging. I shared the other day, there was this guy saying, like, please, I don't care about the money, just hire me. And when you hear some things like that, it makes you really sad, because it's like, you don't need to do that. And sometimes it's because, when you're young, you really just want to get to the first step, and the door, and the step in the door. So I feel like sometimes there needs to be someone that maybe can tell you don't need to do that, and you can you can get a job.
A couple of points, actually, like how mental health is really important, especially for a young architect entering the industry. I think your account has been really helpful in, like, bringing to light all of these issues in terms of, like, the torture that we face as an architect, right? I mean, digital designers, because sometimes we can't call ourselves architects yet, but then again, there is this growing feeling, like pent-up feeling, I think, that is coming up now, especially on social media. People are sharing, like, for example, your post. I think you talk about 9 to 5, 9 to 9,
Yeah.
9 to 5, right? That's the difference.
I was working today. Today's Saturday.
Yeah, why? Okay, so yeah, so there's a lot of things but one thing I realized after looking at all of the accounts, like yours and mine, and like to scale, for example, all the different accounts who are sharing about all of these struggles that we are facing, be it about the time that we spend on doing the work, be it about the amount that we are getting paid for the work. That also is quite important to talk about. Talking about being able to be, to be flexible, and to have to take a break sometimes, and not to, work 24/7, or even like 9 to 9 every single weekday, and even on the weekend. So there is this growing pent-up feeling, I feel, on social media. I think that will only grow with more and more young architects coming into the picture and being more vocal about it. And I think, like, accounts like yours and other people around the world encouraging that trend. And I think the employers are starting to listen, as well as the organizations, I feel. But it takes time. I don't know what you think about firstly, the 9 to 9 culture, right? You're talking about it, and you're working on weekends. It's very tricky to say. Yeah. How do you survive in that sense? Like, is there any tips that you have to share, or is it just you have to suck it up?
Yeah. I think what you say is extremely relevant and important right now. I think for the ones that don't know, the 996 working culture is something that is especially very popular in Asia.
China, right? Yes.
Yeah. So Japan and China, and I don't know about Singapore. Is it common there?
Depends on where you're working at. So
Right.
currently, I don't do it because I'm lucky enough, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but I
So
think
so
some of
the-
my colleagues do work like on weekends, but maybe not exactly 996, but maybe 99 and then like 5.5 or
right. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's definitely
It's
normal.
still
And
longer
and
than expected. Yeah.
and what frustrates me a little bit is that it feels like if you wanna work in a studio that does like international projects or does like, for example, like Sana or this
Mm,
big offices, you need to be willing to kind of sacrifice yourself in order to kind of grow professionally. And there's a lot of people that are willing to do this, and
mm,
I was one of these people. I guess
mm,
I'm in the middle of this kind of change of mentality.
mm,
I've been definitely been I burned myself out to get where I am, and that's not. I will be dishonest if I say that I have it together and I know how to
mm,
manage my time, and that I know how to do all this kind of stuff. But what I know is that I always was asking. I never could could work for free, for example. So this was one of the things that kind of shaped my path very in a good way, I guess. Oh, I think
it's okay. Just continue.
it's okay.
It's recording. Yep.
Okay, so back to the point. Yeah, so I guess I could never afford to work for free. So I had to always I look for a job that will give me paid. So and then I realized there are some places that where you can design and actually you can get paid, and and this is why I think is important. Wait, sorry, I got confused. Maybe all over again. Um, um, okay, so I guess my point is that I could never afford to not get paid. So this is why for me it was very difficult to be able to travel and be able to live in for example, in a city like Tokyo or in Europe or anywhere else, and not get paid. Like for me that was impossible. So I had to look for an office that could basically pay me, and even
Mm,
if it wasn't a lot, they will still pay you. And that for me was a bottom line. So I guess company what I realized being inside like a company is that actually most companies that do international projects can afford this and can afford paying interns. So it makes me really frustrated that the ones that don't do it, or like they do it very poorly, get prices and get like kind of international praise for the projects. I found that really confusing at some point, because somehow we are, as architects, we create places for people, and we try to create better environments for everyone, but at the same time we're creating toxic environments for ourselves. So
mm.
it doesn't make a lot of sense. So um, I think maybe we should start designing good environments for ourselves, and maybe we can create even better environments for everyone else. um,
Yeah, like
um,
the environment. So you raised up a few points. Sorry to interrupt. Like you raised up a few
sure.
good points. Like the environment is one thing. Like what are the conditions you're working in? Second thing you raised up was like the amount of work you're doing is a lot as architects. So time management is a buzzword, right? But nobody really knows what it means. And I think we can actually talk about it later as well. Like how do we manage our time as architects?
It's
Uh,
super difficult.
it is
Super
difficult.
difficult.
My advice actually is just to see the scope of work you're doing. Actually, some of these things are not meant to be done by you. Like you can actually push it away or like at least delegate to somebody else. That's not important. I think
Yeah.
most of us, even for myself when I was younger, I didn't have the courage to say no to certain work, and then also to question the boss and say, can I do this other thing first that has a more priority and has more urgency? So that's also about task management instead of time management. Yeah. So I don't know
I
what you
think
think
I
about it.
think I think that comes down to firstly, I think it comes down to personality, to each individual. Some people
Mm,
are naturally better at doing this, and some people learn it along the way, and some people are just not so good at that. I think I'm in the latter. of the options. I'm definitely like not very good at time management, and then I glorify it in my brain, thinking that I want to be perfectionist and all that. So this is why every time I am trying to do something, I just tell myself just to stop trying to make it perfect. Just get it done and finish. Otherwise, you're just gonna take. I mean, there is so much you can change. You can be changing things all day, and you can try to make the design better all day, and then it's never gonna be good enough. So basically, you need to set yourself boundaries. But there is definitely pressure from your boss, and I think what you're doing is actually excellent, to kind of question the instructions and just really evaluate what's more important. So basically, just always ask. Just have a very clear understanding of the deadlines, so you can prioritize what's what needs to be finished first. I think what you're doing there is really smart. And sometimes there are things that require more attention, and there are things that don't have to be perfect, and then don't have to be like really, really good. I mean, they're really, really, like, there are some for example, I'm going to give you a really, really quick example. Sometimes we'll use sometimes SketchUp to do diagrams. So when I was an intern, I will do the SketchUp, and I will do I will make it in InDesign, and I will just retrace it and just make every line, and just trying to make it like a BIG diagram, just trying to make it so amazing,
like so perfect, right? The diagram.
Yeah, it's like every line had a different line weight. And then it's like, this is ridiculous. I mean, I'm spending all this time. And then on top of that, the file was super heavy. My computer will crash. I will, it was a nightmare. And then other people beside me would just take a screenshot from SketchUp and just highlight, just Photoshop a little bit, or you know what I mean? So then, that's actually a little bit worse. But they get to go home earlier, and actually the outcome, the general outcome is more or less the same. You might as well spend that time just doing the project well, rather than just like going crazy about this, if it's vector or raster, this kind of stuff. So if it's gonna take you 5 times more, maybe sometimes it's not worth it.
Yeah, not so sure about you, but during school when I was, I didn't use Illustrator to do my diagrams. It's like I just use raster like images to create the diagrams, like from Rhino, for example. And some of my peers, they use Adobe Illustrator, like AI, and it takes more time to adjust the language.
It takes so much more time. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that it's wrong.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I mean, if you have time and if you think your concept is solid, you can go ahead and do it. But if you have no
fast,
time, if you're fast. But if you have no time, but maybe need more time to think about your concept, right? Then I think I'd rather spend that time to do the concept, like to think about it more. How do I explain the concept, maybe verbally or through a simple sketch, instead of spending the time to do the diagram that may not actually sell the concept well, right? What do you think about
I think there's another interesting point. For example, at least when I was in university, doing renderings will usually take forever, right? Like, but literally forever, like 8 hours for one rendering or something like that. So I think now it's a little bit different with Lumion and Enscape, which is like a little bit more instant. But
it's different now.
But before, it will take forever. So then I will set myself like crazy goals of like doing like 7 renderings, and I will plan them and all that kind of stuff, and then things like, and now that I think about it, I was crazy. Like, no one needed to see all those renderings. I could just like do 1 or 2, and then just sketch something, or do like 2D diagrams, like just express the project in a different way. And and sometimes don't listen to the teacher. I mean, not that you should listen to the teachers, but you should just present your work like you think should be presented. Because most of the times, whenever you break the rules, especially in university, I think it's easy to break the rules, and if you know what you're doing, it can be as successful. There's not much to lose. Like in work, if you break the rules, okay, there is a client, there is like reality, there is physics, there is all this kind of stuff. But in university, it's easier to break the rules, and so for example, one time we had to do this portfolio in the first year about our first year. So basically, a lot of people did a book. So basically, they had to create a layout about the book and all this kind of stuff, and that took a lot of time. So that on top of like redrawing the sketches that they did before and all that. So I didn't think why I wanted to do this, but I was really thinking about the concept, and this is probably one of the things that I was most proud of during my university, is this stupid portfolio in the first year, is that I grabbed all the papers and all my sketches that I had in my room. I just put them all together in a ball, and I just put like wire tape. I mean, like this fence. How do you say in English this? You know, like this wire
like
mesh. Yeah, the thing that you put on the fence on the top that cuts.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense. I forgot how to say this. Yeah, so I put this wire all over, so it was really kind of dangerous. It was a weapon, and but it was really, when you saw it, it's like this ball of paper and sketches and thoughts and ideas that was really, I don't want to say the word torture, but it was very torture. You know what I mean? So basically, my teacher, in order to kind of see my work, he had to open this thing. So basically, it was difficult for him to open this and see it. So, and then he appreciated this, and then he thought it was great. So that took me probably like 2 hours to do. Whereas if I wanted to do a book, this will take me probably, a week. So sometimes when the concept really matters, and not that you need to think of doing a concept that is quick, but sometimes you can do that. If you don't have the time, you can think, okay, how can I make this easier for myself, and how can I make it better? I think this trade-off is not something that is impossible, and I should listen to myself more and do that more also, especially now. But yeah, this is something that I feel like, and it's so rewarding when you spend little time and you get something good, you feel really satisfied.
Yeah, thinking about listening to yourself, right? Like there's also
Yeah.
signs that your body can tell you, like, hey, I'm tired, like physically tired, mentally tired, spiritually tired. So all of these things, I mean, over the years, I also realized that my body is telling me things, like when I fall sick, for example, like that is a clear sign that we are taking too much of a toll on our body to stay up late, and it actually, looking back, is not really that important, or I think that it can be avoided. Like, maybe like saying like, I need one more day to do it. Like, it's not that urgent actually, but it seems urgent at the point in time. Looking back, I feel that I've already been working for close to 3 years. So I think in my first year of working, I already stayed up, in the office, like stayed until like 8 p.m., 8 and 9 p.m. at night, and then go back home. And next day I'm back at 9 o'clock in the morning. So that was quite intense.
It sucks your life, basically.
Yeah, it sucks our life out. But looking back now, like 3 years later, like now, right? Like looking back in my how I could have done it a bit better. Maybe I can just share some advice to whoever's listening, right? Like maybe students or young practitioners. I think the best thing to do is actually to see whether this thing is urgent. So I'm not sure you heard about the Eisenhower matrix. Then there's the very famous cross matrix, right?
Yeah, I know.
So on one side is important or urgent, right? So the first thing to do actually is the most urgent and most important. Yeah. So if it's urgent but not important, we can actually try to delegate it to somebody else to do it, right? If it's not urgent and not important, just throw it away, right? And if it is, what's the last one? If it is important but not urgent, we can do it later. Yeah. So that's the whole framework that I've been trying to apply to my work.
So how is that working out for you? Is it useful?
It's good. It's quite useful. Right. So I when I see emails coming in, usually it gives me anxiety, right? When you see emails coming in that addresses to you. Yeah, and like I'm doing, like, let's say 3 projects currently as a project, but I don't really, I'm more of the project architect role. So if I'm not designing per se, I'm helping to do the site supervision, to detail design, compliance, those kind of stuff. So we most probably do more projects. Like if you're doing a design architect role, we call it in Singapore, right? that's like you'll be focusing more on design. So you'll only be doing 1 or 2 projects. Yeah, so that is the difference. So for me, I see different projects as different urgency and different timelines. So what I do is actually to firstly flag the email, right, and to see whether it's important. And if it is urgent, I'll just do it first. If I can do it within 2 minutes, I'll do it. If I can't do it within 2 minutes, I won't do it. I'll keep it in view.
That's super important.
Yeah, I learned about this email technique, right? So last year, which is like halfway through my 3 years of experience. And I wish I had known that, like, even in internship or even in school, right, you can actually do things that you can do it quickly, do it now.
Just do it now. Don't push them later.
If you can't do it within 2 minutes, just keep it for later. Yeah,
but if you can, then you should do them, because then you take a stress away from yourself, right?
Yeah. The other thing that I've realized was at the start of each day, right, I just spend half an hour to think about what to do, like the task that you carry from the day before, and you bring it to the next morning. And then the next morning, before starting work, I maybe spend 15 minutes to 20 minutes just looking through the tasks that I have outstanding and to see what to do first. Because I know that I can't do everything that's outstanding in the whole day. And then if there is anything that is really urgent, that is clashing, right, I have to actually ask my superior about it. Because I don't think I can do both at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, and usually they are quite nice enough, actually. Usually they will just... I think one thing to note, right, when you go to your supervisor to ask for advice, you need to have your facts right. You need to know what are the deadlines for each task, and what is the urgency, and why do I need help. Because if you don't know all these, like, data, right, they can actually just say you're just complaining. You're just complaining. But if you are able to show the supervisor that, hey, I have task A and task B both due tomorrow, and both are equally urgent, and I can't shift the deadline anymore, and I need help. So I think most probably in this case, they will actually have to, to find somebody to help.
Do something. Yeah.
Yeah, it ultimately looks good on the company if, to the client, right? Especially the clients, especially if task A and task B are different projects. Yeah.
Exactly, because if it's the same project, then sometimes
it's still okay. You can actually push one later.
One of them, yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I learned was progressive instead of a whole submission. So let's say if a client asks me to do something, try to ask for a progressive submission. That means like I give part A, part 1, part 2, part 3. Like progressively give something. At least there's something moving, but instead of like forcing me to give everything at once. So that is one tactic that I use as well. So hopefully whoever's listening can actually take it in, apply to your work life.
I think that's actually something that you only learn when you're working. And university, it feels like it's always a chaos a little bit.
The thing is that because you're in school and nobody is experienced in school, right? Everybody's all studying at the same time. And usually if you don't consult your seniors, you'll be like having to assume certain things, right? You assume that I need to do everything at once.
Right. So this is why I think it's really good for students to always make friends or just visit seniors. Yeah.
Yes.
Because you get the times when I learned the most in university was whenever I get to do friendships with people that were older than me, and they will just criticize my work, or I would just listen to their, when they were exposing, when they were doing their presentations, and I will see the way that they will see. I will see the way they react to the criticism or all this kind of stuff. So I thought it was really kind of good to see other people. You can level up faster, I think, if you just force yourself to kind of get into acquainted with people that know more than you, right?
Yeah. And also, not only seniors, I think also it's also good to make friends with juniors as well. So just to pass on that knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So,
and then the good thing about it is that then you never know what's going to happen. Yeah, what's going to happen. So basically, architecture is such a small. It seems such a small world. Like here in China, I've met people. Actually, I was hanging out with them last
Actually,
Thursday.
do you speak Mandarin a little bit?
Yeah.
一点点。
一点点。不会。Yeah, so basically, Stephen Hall has a partner that is actually from Chile. And the world's really small, because when I was in university, there was this guy. I didn't really know fully Stephen Hall, because it was probably like the first year. But I knew that it was kind of famous, right? So I knew that. So basically, this guy that was working there came to give us a lecture about this building that he was designing, and it's the Hybrid Link in Beijing, Hybrid Link. So that was that. And then years later, like 12 years later, I find myself having a beer with him after his exhibition of his newest Stephen Hall building. So you never know who you're going to meet, and you never know what's going to happen. So the way that I see, and this is something that we've been talking with other people, and with like Mia, or Daisy from Dissect Architecture, and Buka, is about basically seeing networking as something that is kind of not part of your life, more not like this kind of business world. It's just kind of just connecting with people is always good, because there's always something that you can give, or you can learn, even though there's always like this kind of feedback.
Yeah, that brings us to the next part of our conversation, actually, quite smoothly. Like social media as an architect. Yeah, so I think, connection is really important, as we're all social beings, firstly, as humans, and also to get to learn something and to share something, right? I think that's the beauty of connections, and like connections that you don't expect on social media.
How do you feel about social media in general? Like, do you like it?
I have a love-hate relationship. I don't really call it social media, because I don't really share much about my life, actually. Right. I realized. I mean, I've used it for documentation purpose, like, ARCHLOGBOOK, right? And I mean, I also intend to, in 2022, start to share more about myself in my life. I think that people are interested in knowing how I'm doing, actually. But I haven't had the time. Like I mentioned to you just now before the recording, like I just moved house, I just changed a job, I went through COVID. So all of these things have been affecting my progress, honestly, in ARCHLOGBOOK. But just a little sneak peek, I've been doing an ebook with some other people. So trying to consolidate my content into an ebook format. But I'm also currently getting my preparing for my licensure as an architect. So that also takes a lot of my time. So I'm not that social on Instagram right now. Like this is September 2021. I think I don't really have the time to edit it, maybe in October or November. So yeah, but the idea is that I really want to. That's why I started this like podcast series with you and all the other guests that are coming on soon. Because I think that as we are in architecture, sometimes we are just caught up in the bubble. Like, we are just focused on our work during the weekdays and we want to get it done. And we don't have time for ourselves to talk to other people about architecture, right? And like sharing our burdens, and just sharing our joys and struggles, and all these things needs to be shared, especially when, if we keep it to ourselves, I think it's also not a good way to hold the burdens, and something not having someone to listen to you and to share the same.
It's definitely good to share the pain points of being an architect and just to whine a little bit about it. But what is also good about that is that then you can realize what
the same.
That you're not alone, and that there's a lot of people going through the same, and that there's also you can get to understand that actually maybe things can change. I don't think it's impossible for architecture to get better, and that then, and maybe in 5 or 10 years, the younger generations choose to work in places that are healthy for them, instead of like they are just like they're designing massive buildings, or they're just like being star architects, because they put themselves as professionals, but also as people first. So I think to change this paradigm, to change this idea that in order to be an architect, you need to kind of leave the torture and be proud of it, is kind of a little bit old-fashioned. So and I hope it changes. But also what you were saying, whenever COVID happened, and also because being in China and not fully speaking Chinese, not when I mean fully, I mean actually not speaking Chinese fluently.
But you do understand a few phrases, right?
I understand. I mean, I can understand sometimes what's going on, and especially when it comes to work, I can, see. I mean, understand more or less what's going on, but never to like a great degree. But anyway, so basically, it's still a little bit isolating, especially at those times whenever I was working long hours and one project, and my life was one project. So I decided that I wanted to branch out, and I saw social media as something that can be like a little window to like a lot of people and a lot of stories, and I'm glad it's working. I mean, today I'm talking with you in Singapore, and then and yesterday I was talking with some other people in London, and so I think that makes me feel like I'm less isolated in China as an architect, and I'm building connections and learning about different people and stories and types of architecture like everywhere. So I think that's kind of fascinating, and it's quite exciting. So that's the good thing about social media. Social media before ARCHITORTURE and my own social media, it was a little bit complicated because I had some, let's say, it was very polluted. I think today, visually and mentally and just in general, there's a lot of information and visual pollution and information that is not real, and there is a lot of things that can come across as important, but actually they are not. They are meaningless for you. So I decided to kind of like step back and not care so much about my own social media, but care about like the architecture is kind of like more like a community, and it's about one subject, and it's about so I kind of redirect the social aspect of that, and I channel it towards people and students, and and trying to give my 5 cents and trying to learn also. I've learned a lot from people that sometimes message me and share their stories with me and share their opinions about things. Some people have very, very strong opinions, and sometimes a lot of people sometimes disagree with me in some things, and that's great because then I get to learn sometimes. Then we debate and we become friends. So the social media aspect of the architecture definitely is something that I enjoy.
I think for myself, I'm still learning how to use social media. Like I feel that I'm not social enough. I'm just sharing a lot of content. Like I'm more of information sharing, kind of account. I've been thinking about it the longest time. Like how can I be more social? Like share more about myself. So like this is one way to do it, like through a podcast, and to share about myself while talking to other people.
Right,
And
in a way that feels natural and not.
It's natural, and like this is me, and this is who I am as an architect, young architect, to be. Yeah, so that is my first step, being more social. I think the bad part, which I really overcame, I feel, was the comparison. I think that was a long time ago when I was like comparing things, like different accounts, how fast they're growing, and like
that's so annoying.
That's annoying, but now
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, so I don't really worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
The other thing I was not sure about is also like the community building aspect. I personally don't I don't think there is a close community for mine yet. I think it's still like people just looking at the content just for the information. So I'm trying to change that, I feel, and that is takes a little more time to kind of like pivot a little bit of my content strategy. So that's why I'm doing the podcast as well, to share more
Right.
about
Yeah.
my life and also to talk to people and to expand my connections and put myself out there more. So
I think that it takes some time. I mean, somehow kind of it takes courage to do what you're doing, basically, because it's very easy. I mean, we do it all the time. Whenever we see someone, we automatically criticize them or make an opinion about them, right? So put your opinion out there with your face, with your voice, and all that. I think is very brave and it's really, and it takes a lot of courage. So I think what you're doing is actually pretty great and difficult. So you should be proud.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been using this experimental mentality for social media. So I think even for ARCHLOGBOOK, I think at the very start, I didn't make it like the account to get famous or to be, it's genuine. I didn't think about the numbers. I feel, just that towards maybe in between like the very start of my ARCHLOGBOOK account creation all the way to now, I think in the middle part of it, I like comparing a little bit, like how can I be better? How can I gain traction more? Yeah, that was the things I was thinking about. But now it was more about how can I give more, like give better content, which ironically got me to think of like taking a break first, because I feel that like how do I say this? I give the content actually for free. Then it's starting to dawn on me that I can actually give better content, but through paid content. Like it takes more of my time basically, and to create the better content, to elaborate more, for example. Because sometimes Instagram it's just a picture, right? You cannot add a lot of words into it. You cannot explain diagrams verbally through diagrams. You can only type words in the infographics, and it may be taken out of context, I feel. So that also coming to think that I need to actually do the ebook, like which is what I'm doing currently. So sneak peek is that I'm doing like 4 books, so it's quite a lot of things to do. Yeah, but it's also, I mean, I'm asking for help. Like I just paid someone to help me to do the graphics and stuff like that. I mean, part of it has actually already been posted before on ARCHLOGBOOK, but it's more of like a shuffling and packaging it in a more coherent and easy to understand manner. So that is one thing I'm trying to do. The other thing is just like a podcast. So all of these projects, I would call it, is experimental. Like I'm not actively forcing it to be successful. Like I won't be very sad if like I don't sell the books, and like thankfully I got a day job, I still have a job to get the money from. So I'm not concerned about whether I can earn money in a sense, but I feel that my concern is more about how best I can give the content through the ebook now. Yeah, this is my current priority. So that's why, I mean, I think you asked me just now before, like, why am I not posting much? It's because of this. Yeah, and I feel that I need to take up more time to iron out all of these step by step, or even like topic by topic approach to the ebook.
It's definitely difficult, and I can relate. I was batch because before with the ARCHItorture, I was basically the whole I had a kind of a team before, and we were creating content that was a lot. It was a lot of content, but actually it was not really good, or at least I didn't really like it.
Bad content. Okay, that's quite questionable for me, but I feel that some of the accounts you see out there now, the content is not that good. I mean, it is it's not good in the sense that it's
this a part that gets cut and then
it's just that a lot of lifestyle content now, right? like
Yeah,
architecture and stuff like that.
there's a lot. I think that's the thing about social media. Also, I think there's I guess it's fair.
Yeah,
That
and
everyone has a voice, and if they want to share the voice, they can.
yeah,
There's
you
definitely
can.
some content that I don't agree with, and there's
Mm,
definitely some bad advice.
yes,
But
yes.
maybe for some people, my advice is bad. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, I hope not. But but
There's always two sides to the story. Like there's always people who agree with your advice and some who don't.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's natural
There's like
that
a lot of people
yeah.
in the world and the planet. So, I mean, there's definitely some things that are like not right, but 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 I feel like there's the people and students are not dumb, and then
Mm,
we know what we like, and
mm,
at some point we need to learn how to differentiate what's pollution and what's not pollution, and information that is just for the sake of information. The thing is,
mm,
it's difficult because when you're young and when you're like a student, you don't really you're shaping yourself, and you don't know what's actually good as what is good architecture. Like whenever you were in the first year, that's the most difficult thing to understand why my project is good or why my project is bad.
mm.
That for me was the most difficult part. It's like how I make something that is good. I have no clue. You just do, right? And then you fail, or sometimes succeed, and then you kind of learn and learn. But then when you get older, you kind of it's easier to make it right, or just make sure that you do the right steps to get it right, uh, and in less time, or at least get it closer to right.
Mm.
But with the content creation and with the let's say architectural fake news, I see a lot of that, and it's just I feel like it's just part of the game.
Yeah,
It's
so I think just take what you get, and you know, don't take everybody's advice to heart. Like if you need to filter it, that's
Yeah,
the
I feel
problem I
like
see. There's a lot of things that is like
every yeah
contradictory. Yeah.
yeah
So
yeah
that,
yeah
I mean, is whoever is looking at the different posts from different accounts, they have to discern and to see which one it applies to them better. Yeah, and that's the thing about social media. Like, now it's more polluted than ever. There's so many different accounts coming up, and they're all saying the same thing or like different things, but it's confusing sometimes. Yeah.
I definitely think I mean what I did before, and I did this in my personal account. I
Mm,
used to follow a lot of accounts
mm,
of all kind, all whatever you name it, I was following. And then this was very distracting, and I realized that I was following a lot of people that I will get annoyed by them, but I will
mm,
still watch them. It's like, and I will watch them, and they will get annoyed. It's like, why am I doing this? Why am I following this person that is actually annoying me? Or
yeah.
why am I following this person if they are just waking up at 6 a.m. every day and just making me feel anxious that I'm not doing the same, like doing all these things, and just like,
Mm,
no, I don't need that, because it's only
mm,
making me feel or jealous or anxious, or less or uglier or poor, or like all this kind of stuff, because there are people that.
yes.
And then we realize, like, there's all these accounts are also creating the content, and that's not what they are in reality.
Mm,
So just mute them, just block them, and just follow the people that give you some value, and that you can learn something from, or that you generally enjoy, and just remove, because at the end of the day, if you think about it, you're giving your lifetime to these people, and your attention, and your energy, and sometimes it's not worth it to spend your attention, your energy like that. So just make yourself a favor and just do a cleanse of your social media, and and at least that helped me a lot, I can say.
yeah. And so with that, I think we covered a lot of things today. Like we talked about the work culture. We talked about like advice that we could have gotten from our like could have gotten long time ago about how do we cut our time management, work management, conflicts, all these. and we talked about social media. So it's really nice to talk to you, Seb. I wish we could talk more.
Yeah,
I think
it was really nice. This is actually, like you said, this was also the first time I'm on a podcast. So this was also a first time for me. And it was a really fun.
Awesome. All right, take care, Seb. I'm sure I'll see you around on social media.
I'll see you
very
around.
soon.
We'll stay connected.
Yep. So for
See
those
you.
listening,
Bye-bye.
I hope you take care, everybody.